The Tao of Self-Confidence, episode 849. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits. Well, hello, friend. Welcome to Season 8 of the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. I'm your host today, Sheena Yap Chan, and today I have an amazing lady on the show today. She is the CEO and founder of Innovate Marketing Group, and I'm super excited to have her on the show today to share her story and wisdom on self-confidence. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Amanda Ma. Amanda, how are you today? Maybe you can fill in a little bit more about yourself to the listeners.
Fantastic. Thank you for inviting me to be part of this podcast, Sheena. Yeah, so I've been in the event industry for 17 years. I cannot believe that it's been that long. You know, every year at a new year. And it's been really exciting because I see the evolution of how this industry really has evolved. And I'm also just a very passionate entrepreneur. You know, this is my second events company. I love it so much that I started two, and then just in general, some of my background, I was born in Taiwan and I moved here to Los Angeles when I was 10. And I just loved the culture here. And I went to East Coast for school, came back, and I was in the corporate world for about 3 years before I started my own events agency. And from there, I never looked back. I did give myself a year. I told my parents 1 year, just let me see if I can make something of myself. So I'm still on that path. So it looks like I'm doing pretty good. But just along the way, that it's been such a fantastic journey. Of course, is like any other entrepreneur story, a lot of roller coaster, up and down. But I think all those are take it with a grain of salt, and it's all part of our learning. In addition to my business, I'm also a wife. I always joke, I have one husband and 2 kids, and they're the love of my life. On the side, I also do a lot of community work. I'm super passionate about community, so I sit on multiple boards that I'm passionate about. Yeah, so that's just a little bit about me.
Well, a little, that's a lot. And I love that you do all that. I've seen your website and the events that you've done, and they are phenomenal. Like, they are just next level amazing. So I really just love the work that you do and what you stand for. And, being an entrepreneur isn't easy, especially as an Asian woman, because we're always seen by our negative stereotypes. And it's stories like these that really gives us hope to realize there's other things that we can do. So I'm really glad you're out there just doing your thing, because you are empowering other ladies, or even Asian women or women in general, what's possible for themselves. And Amanda, what is your favorite self-confidence quote?
One of my recent favorite is by Bob Marley. The quote goes, "You never know how strong you are until being strong is your only choice." And I feel like a lot of people rise to the occasion. So don't be scared. And then, I think a lot of people are surprised on what they can do when they get put into those situations.
I love that quote. And especially as women, right? We tend to always see the worst of ourselves, right? Thinking we're not enough, thinking we have to do more, or we're not capable. But like you mentioned, we're a lot more capable than you realize. And when we're put in certain situations, we're going to go out there and make it happen, right? The pandemic has been a really great example of women just pivoting to success, taking action, taking it to the next level. And sometimes we just need that push, right? It's like, you can do it. Go girl, you can do it, right? And the more we can hear these stories, the more they're inspired to take action and take it to the next level and not have to worry about what happens if I make a mistake. You make a mistake and you just move on. So I love that quote that you mentioned. And in your own words, how do you define self-confidence?
I would say, especially as an entrepreneur, I kind of mentioned there's so many roller coasters. Self-confidence is really how you kind of present yourself and how people view you as well. It's not just you thinking you're confident, but do people view you as confident as well? And I would definitely say it takes practice, and it's okay that if you're on a journey where you're trying to develop that, but it does take practice. So just know that the more you do it, the easier it gets, and it becomes something natural. It's not like I'm trying to be confident right now. Right. And one thing I know that really helped me when I'm feeling down is affirmation, like positive affirmation. And like, it goes pretty much like you can stand in front of a mirror and you just go, "Amanda, you're awesome. Even if you're not feeling awesome inside, you just gotta be like, you're awesome. Or before I do a big speaking engagement, sometimes really nerve-wracking, especially coming back from the pandemic. I was doing speaking engagement all virtually. And then to get back in front of the audience, that was something I had to be like, you got this. They're all here for you to listen to what you have to say, and just giving yourself that like boost of confidence. And also self-confidence can come from someone else. So if you find someone, like I have my group of ladies, I know if I need a boost of energy, I just called, one of the ladies, and she's like, Amanda, you're awesome. Or like, you're such a rock star. Like, how could you not think you could do this? You got this, and now I'm like, okay, I got this. Right. I think all of us need that support system, but it starts with you first.
I love that definition. And it's so true, right? How people perceive you does matter sometimes, does matter, right? Like if they know you're not confident, then they're not going to follow you. And, a really great example of that is Kobe Bryant, having the Mamba mentality. And if you listen to his YouTube videos, like he literally prepared to a T, 4 hours of sleep every day, do 1,000 shots every single day, would ask people who were basketball, like, the greats like Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson. He would like literally ask them every single question is like, why did this play? Why did you do this play? Why did you do that play? And he really prepared to be number one, right? And sometimes we may see him, we think he's a little cocky, but he's not. It's because he's prepared. He's so prepared to the point that he can be able to stand up a lot straighter and play the best game of his life, because in his mind, he's a winner and he'll do whatever it takes to do that. And that's what most athletes do, right? Like they literally prepare themselves to be the best. And that's why they have that confidence. And also asking for support is so important, because we don't have to be doing this alone, and especially in our culture, we're always told to never ask for help because it's a sign of weakness or it's a handout. But as people, we have blind spots, right? And if we're trying to do things by ourselves, we're not going to see those blind spots, right? And that's why we become stuck and feel like we're not going anywhere, because we don't have that group of people who can pinpoint, hey, this blind spot is actually stopping you from your greatness. So I really love that definition that you mentioned. And Amanda, what was your life like before you discovered self-confidence?
I would say, a little bit more timid, and just, I think that especially the Asian culture, we're brought up to not to brag about ourselves. Like, even if you're awesome, you're not supposed to tell people you're awesome. You wait till someone recognizes you that you're awesome, right? But I think in a different landscape, it's not that I'm bragging, but I do need to let people know that, like, hey, I am an event specialist. Like, we do amazing events and our team is award winning. We're global. We even have a podcast, right? We did an event for the White House and Secret Service, but if I don't say that, people would not know. So I think it's just kind of like I mentioned, it's a journey. So the more you do it, the easier it gets. So just try it. Friends and family, they're the first one that you could try it on, and then just slowly grow from there. I think it's all part of the growth. And I love like learning. I have a thirst for learning in general, right? Like during the pandemic, and even in terms of speaking, prior to pandemic, I was only doing a few a year. And during the pandemic, I did like 16 to 20 per year. It was like a lot more. So what I told myself, hey, I need to step up. I wasn't that confident in my speaking skills, but guess what? Then I hired a speaking coach. I joined Toastmaster. I surround myself with people who want to help me and who will help me, right? And I take that time to prepare, like you said, with Kobe, right? I didn't wake up at 4 a.m., but Toastmaster is a little later, but you make time to incorporate that. And it also does help boost your self-confidence because you keep getting better and better.
Yeah, and it's so true. I know in Asian culture, we're never told to make any noise, never talk about our achievements. Self-promotion is probably one of the hardest things an Asian woman has to do because of that. But, I'm out there promoting myself because I know this is not just about myself, right? I need other people to see that it's okay to go out there and promote your products and services, to tell them that, like you mentioned, I have an award-winning events company. I did events for the White House, right? And we need that kind of representation, because for far too long, we're still seen by our negative stereotypes. So when we see women like you, like just doing amazing things, creating these awesome looking events, like we need that in our community. We need to share that out. We need to say, hey, if I can do this, you can do this as well. And yeah, being able to prepare yourself. Like, I'm not telling everyone you should be like Kobe. I'm just saying this is what he had to do to be a champion, right? Sometimes we're not willing to do the things that we want. Like, we want to lose weight, but we still want to eat junk food. So you have to think of it that way. You do what works for you, of course, right? And this podcast is about, trying to pick different things that work for you and that doesn't work for you. So I'm not saying you should sleep 4 hours. I'm just saying that's what he had to do to get to where he is today. And what was that aha moment in your life when you realized you can go out there and forge your own path, especially going from corporate to your own business? That probably wasn't easy. Your parents were probably like, what are you thinking? You're already successful. Why would you do things on your own when you already have a stable job? And especially in our culture, like certainty, like stability is everything. And then when you step out into the unknown, it's like, you don't know what's going to happen. But what was that aha moment in your life?
It was 100% true because when I told my parents I'm going to start my own business, luckily my dad's also an entrepreneur, so he was a definite yes. But for my mom, it's like, why are you starting a business when you're at a corporation? They like you. You've been promoted every year. You're doing such a great job. But for me, it's like I could make an even bigger impact, right? As much as I love the company I was working with and having a fantastic time and growing, I just felt at the moment I could make a bigger impact if I started this business. And that's what I did. And I took a leap of faith at the time and didn't turn back ever since. So 17 years later.
I love it. I mean, and, creating, having a purpose is really important, right? Creating that impact, because that really builds confidence for us to move forward, because sometimes what we do is not for us, right? It's for the greater good. It's for our community. It's for, our Asian sisters or, our Asian community or beyond that. Just because we empower our own community doesn't mean we're not empowering others, right? I always say it starts with ourselves and it becomes a domino effect. I mean, like when I saw Black Panther, I loved it. I was like, I hope they have Marvel movies that highlight Asian characters. And then Shang-Chi came out. For me, when we empower our own community, it becomes a domino effect and we can really create a global impact, like BTS, like Blackpink, right? Look where they are today. And because of your realizations and being able to forge your own path and have this successful business, what's your life been like now?
I love it. I think I was born an entrepreneur. I just love the creativity. I think every day, of course, there are a lot of challenges. We always say entrepreneurs are very a unique human being because why we're constantly put with solutions that we have to problem solve. And then it's like, you do it again, you get knocked down, you get back up, you get knocked down, you get back up. It's like, why would you do that? That's like insanity, right? But we just love, not that we love, we love the challenge, and it's like every day is different. I think the biggest and most attractive part is just that I can make a bigger impact, right? I can influence change. And that's something I believe in 100%, because even at our agency, my mission is to help fuel change, to help fuel brands change lives for the better through the events that we put together for them. And I truly believe that, and then that's why when we do events, it's not just an event. We really think about what is the experience, what is the ultimate impact, and how that will carry on even beyond us, right? So I think that's very different compared to some of the events that just take place. And I think the mentality is also very different too.
Yeah. And, it's the greatest feeling when you get knocked down, let's say 1,000 times, and you finally get what you were looking for, right? Finally, you figured it out. And it's the best feeling in the world, whether it's, trying to pivot your business during the pandemic, or for me, just even trying to figure out how to put a virtual background on my Zoom. I mean, I was so happy that I literally, I felt like I won the lottery, because for 6 months, I was like, why isn't this working? What is wrong with my computer? Why can't I put a virtual background? But the moment I was able to, I was just so happy. So, I know that's really small compared to some other things, but sometimes you need to celebrate those small wins, right? Being able to celebrate those small things also end up, attracting other wins into your life. And so I just love everything that you mentioned. And, to the woman who's listening to your episode, she may be in her own journey to self-confidence. What would be that one tip you would give to her?
I would just say take everything with a grain of salt, and that sometimes when you're in a challenging situation, or you just feel like, oh my God, this is so hard, I cannot do it. table, like look at it another way, like more glass half full, meaning I tell my team this, because there's some event or some clients where like they really stretch you, meaning like, or perhaps, maybe they only done events for 1,000 people. They haven't done it for 3,000 people. So when you're being stretched, that is you growing. Do you want to lead an amazing life? Yes. Well, then amazing life don't just happen. It kind of is part of the journey. And it may be scary at times, but just prepare. I do believe in preparation. I prepare a lot, right? Even our first time doing event for 3,000 people, that we always have a first time. But I told the team, to the client, it cannot feel like it's our first time. It needs to feel like it's our 50th time. But how do we do that? You prep. The more you prepare, the more confident you are because you know what the heck you're doing. You have all the ducks in a row. Your team is well briefed, right? So everything's good. Then why it's very natural that you feel confident because you feel rest assured yourself. When you don't feel confident, it's when things are not in place, right? You have uncertainty because you're not getting questions clarified. That's when you're feeling a little bit lack of confidence. So I do believe that preparation is the door to success.
I love it. Those are great tips. And I totally agree. When you prepare and prepare and prepare, it really does help you build your confidence because then you know what you're talking about. You can answer objections. You can, answer the questions that your clients are asking you. And that falls through everything, whether it's having a business, working out, even being on YouTube. I mean, of course, the first time it's going to suck and that's okay, right? We just got to embrace it. And the more we keep practicing it, we become better. We don't suck as much. Kind of like podcasting. The first time I did it, I was terrible, right? And then everyone's like, "You're so good at it. What did you do?" I'm like, "I just interviewed 800 women." That was it, right? Because I was practicing, I was preparing. I knew what to say. I knew what questions to ask. Like I follow an outline, right? I'm organized so that I can give the best interview possible and also be able to help the interviewee share the most amazing story. So great tips that you mentioned. And if our listeners wanted to get to know a little bit more about you and what you do, or maybe they have an event that they want to plan, is there any links or social media profiles we can connect with?
Yes, you can find me on LinkedIn, just Amanda Ma, or you could go to our website, innovatemkg.com. So that's where you can find us.
Thanks for sharing that. And to our listeners, if you want to connect with Amanda, you can also head on over to thetaoofselfconfidence.com and search for Amanda's name. Her show notes will pop up along with everything else that we talked about. And I really just want to thank Amanda today for starting off the new season. So thank you so much for sharing your journey with us, Amanda.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me here. This has been a blast.
Not a problem. It was an honor to have you on the show. And to our listeners, be on the lookout for another new episode of another amazing woman's journey to self-confidence. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Thank you for tuning in to another amazing episode of The Tao of Self-Confidence. You can order your copy of Asian Women Who Boss Up book by visiting our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits.